Silverline is evolving nicely thus far on the first two tracks I've heard of it, those being in order Two Graves and Nothing Lost. And now we're going to cue up Body Language. But, you know, I figured with Two Graves, right? Remember when I covered that? Some of you might remember when you saw that video debut. That was a fun experience, realizing that one of my foundational influences of how I came into the rock scene so fiercely, ANBERLIN, it was an experience for me, especially going off of the knowledge that they had either, I forget what it was, it disbanded or they just taken a hiatus for a while. I thought it was they disbanded. Anyway, I was under the impression, well, you know, the glory days of ANBERLIN, they live on with us, right? But there's not going to necessarily be anything new. And then Two Graves came out of nowhere for me, and I'm like, wait, what happened? And so then I covered them on this channel, and I'm like, you know, revives that love I had since Ready Fuels. I remember back to that when I was a kid. That song is just, it's seared into my mind. I love it. Again, like I said, ANBERLIN, foundational group of what brought me into the rock scene so ardently now, of where I'm sitting at this point. And I probably would not be here today if, in that capacity if it weren't for ANBERLIN. And maybe apart from some other groups, well, not to, you know, overshadow other names, but ANBERLIN was one of the more dominant influences. And so when Silverline, you know, made its full debut, and I realized, oh, it's not just one track, it's in a whole EP. Why not spotlight this? And I don't tend to do full-length album / EP reactions that often. You know, for me, I like to be democratic in many of the groups I consider, and especially ones I'm judging on first impression, apart from perhaps other established name talents. I like to be fair. You know, again, there's so much music these days that not just going off of what I personally would like to look at, but as well many of your recommendations. And I've kept a catalog at this point of every artist thus far, and it's been a good chunk of names I'm going through sporadically. I'm making my way through. It takes time, but groups like ANBERLIN, as I bring music into a grander showcase on this channel like I've wanted to for a long time, it's been a big inspiration for me over the last couple of years, well, since I started. But over 2023, and especially over 2022, that original ambition is evolving even beyond where I thought it would. And I'm very excited to see the future of its presence. And groups like ANBERLIN are wonderful additions to showcase. Not just in the fact that I'm like, you know, this is another great established talent for me, but it's nostalgic as well. I get to go back into, you know, what made rock music such a dominant influence and love in my life. Well, music generally, but rock music, a lot of it came from ANBERLIN, came from Ready Fuels. And reviving that interest with new tracks, I'm like, it's a wonderful opportunity. So I couldn't just be like, well, you know, I'm going to listen to the rest of it myself. And I want to have experience with you. Whether you are a longtime ANBERLIN fan, we can collaborate. Perhaps you haven't heard these songs before on a first experience. We can share in that. Or if you're coming at this from a perspective that you never heard ANBERLIN before, I can share in that elation that I'm experiencing with you on an introduction, perhaps, that will lead you to not, maybe you're somebody in the position of trying to go artist shopping, you just don't necessarily know where to look for new music. And again, I cover a broad range. Maybe some of the groups I'm hitting on, you know, might be unfamiliar names. I'm hoping to forge paths, if I can, for you to find artists that will be of interest to you. ANBERLIN is one such name, and I hope you're going to love them in this track as much as I have. I thought Two Graves thus far and Nothing Lost, and if you haven't heard those tracks, I would encourage you to listen to them, maybe with me if you so wish. But I thought they were both great additions and very ANBERLIN. It's wonderful to go back into the original vibe of where I was, you know, when I was younger. Let's hear Body Language evolve its presence. I like the name. Is this going to take on like a Queen's person, or Queen's? Is it going to take on a Queen personality? I don't know, because I think of their Body Language song, which is pretty good, but I'm not even the biggest Queen fan. I love that song. Let's hear what, I mean, they're good. They're classic, but, I mean, Body Language, in my opinion, is one of their more trademark tunes, at least for me. Where does ANBERLIN going to go? I haven't read the song in detail in regard to the lyrics as well as hearing the music, so we're going in fresh, both of us. But let's have a collaborative experience. I have the lyrics pulled up, of course, and I will be for you as well if you're somebody that's not exposed, or at this point this is a fresh introduction perhaps to how I cover music on this channel as well, and you haven't seen my content before. If you're somebody that likes to read along with the narrative of the piece, I provide the lyrics for you in the video feed, so you don't have to, you know, go out of your way to open a new tab or anything. I try and provide conveniences in any way that I can to suit listener tastes. And so if you so wish, those lyrics will be available for you to read on screen as the song navigates its way through. Okay, Body Language. Here we go. Let's continue our journey for Silverline. It's been great so far as an EP. 2 more tracks left after this, but I'm having a great time. Okay, softer opening. Pop edge. Okay. good presence. Upbeat. Nice tempo. Letting it linger for a bit. No vocals kicking. Oh, there we go. Interesting. The vocals approach late. It's really interesting in regards to the structure. That's interesting. In my experience, bit experimental for me. Very tangible piece. Quite visual. Connects easily. I love Stephen Christian's voice. It's just wonderful to listen to. I like that. Great inflection there. I like the added emphasis. I'm not always the biggest pop rock type guy, but I'll forgive this because it's good. That's not a complaint on pop rock generally. It's pop music I'm not always the biggest fan of. But this is, like I said, just engrossing. Great drive on that. Great lines. Especially that one. Great cap there, bringing the beginning back in. It's a nice organization. Interesting sound effects. A bit disruptive, but interesting. I say disruptive in a pleasant sense. It's unexpected. Barely any breaks in that. That's wonderful. The wonderful personality here with this. I love it. Very different from my experience. I love originality. I love the personality of this piece. it's such a tangible imagination. Right, as you hear this, you can see it playing out in your mind, in your own visual construction. Because it is such a visual piece. Let me see if I can pull out a couple lines here. I just want to reach out and touch you to hear your body language. It's so sentimental. I love it. You can lie, or you can't lie there, hold it in, whoever lost or loved tonight. I can't find my way in. I can't seem to read your mind. I'm imagining, and again, my experience, ANBERLIN takes a bit of time in terms of some of their songs to contemplate them. They're written complexly, but at a point that you can appreciate their depth. And a song like this takes time to process, though it's very much themed in the mainstay that's been, I would say, romance or perhaps tragedy therein with romance as well. They played out of both to different extents in different contexts. But this piece, I love its energy. Tell me everything that's running through your mind. I won't stop till it's clear exactly who it is you see in the mirror. What's that one line? Silence and love will tear us apart. And it's so beautifully written. It's a wonderful piece to follow. Again, just it touches you. No pun intended. Wow, the energy of that to me is so fresh. And I will make a full confession. As much as ANBERLIN has been such a dominant influence to me, I have not listened to every album in its entirety yet. I have to work my way through, I guess, someday. I've listened to a majority of their hits. I've got, well, a good selection of them on my phone right now. I'm looking at my iTunes page as we speak. I still have to make my way through some of their pieces. In my experience, this is closer linked, I would say, to some of their newer pieces, like Off of Devotion. Specifically, what I have on my phone, Unstable, Dead American. It's different from those, but it's similar in its originality. The electronic side of it, it's much softer. It's a very somber song, but I love its delivery. Connects extremely easily for me. And electronic music for me, or anything with I'd say, the electronic stuff is, I would say, subtle in comparison to where Nothing Lost went. There's more of a dominant influence there. This is more, let me rephrase this a bit, or reframe it. This is more pop rock. And pop music, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the stuff in the Hollywood scene, to be honest with you. To me, I have broad taste, I keep an open door, but especially on first introductions, but pop music just does not tantalize me that much. It's kind of like, it feels empty, right? Rather than an experience I just need to sit with and crave and contemplate. This is different. And again, I make exceptions where it fits. I love the pop energy here. It's smooth. It's got a nice beat to it. It's a steady flow. The first entrance too, the fact that they hear your body language, I love how that was not mentioned initially. Right, you wait a bit and you're trying to hear like what the pacing of the song is and where the lyrics are going to introduce themselves, and where you start to hear Stephen Christian's excellent vocal execution, and it comes in, I think, on the third measure after a while of the song's introduction, like after a couple 20 seconds or so, and then you start to hear him emerge off pattern. It's wonderful to me, or off expectation, maybe it's a better way to put it. But it's just the energy of that piece to me. Again, that smooth flow. Wonderful delivery, easy to track along with. It's got a great balance. And I think, again, like I've said many times, rock music, everybody has preferences in regards to the genre they approach. And even in rock, there might be some variation. Some people might prefer softer energy, other people might prefer, the harder stuff, what ANBERLIN is more known for. I would think this appeals quite well to general audiences, I would imagine. Whether you are in the more aggressive space, but you keep an open door, of course, or you're more into songs along the lines of, let me pick a good sample here. The Unwinding Cable Car, that's a great one from them. That's off of Cities. Unstable as well is a good comparison. Yeah, that song really fits nicely there in those connection points. But I do think the song has a grander approach. So even if you're somebody, again, like I said, in terms of rock and metal, that is a more selective audience, to be fair. I know that from experience, even in the Christian scene, even in that, I don't have many connection points. Most people that I know in that space tend to be, well, we're more of the contemporary Christian types. No shade intended at all, or no diss in any way of what I'm saying, but, I just don't find that much relatability on that attribution of rock music. It's just not a connection point I have. Versus where if many of you, and I had great conversations in the comment section as well to many of the artists I've covered from a variety of group outlets and artist outlets as well, maybe even in geography, that I've had this exchange of, hey, there are other people out there like me who like rock music. I'm not alone in this world in my music taste. I don't mind being alone at all. I do consider it a strength in regards to the, the disassociation, because I tend to find groups that, for me, express a grander range of talent. I tend to gravitate into the more alternative and perhaps lesser known or lesser absorbed. But I oftentimes find groups that thrive in that space. And so again, like I said many times, I don't mind that I'm a bit disassociated in presence from many of my peers. For groups like ANBERLIN, it's nice to be a fan of theirs. And I do think, again, like I said, for groups that are, for people that are listeners that are gauging this, and maybe you're not necessarily a rock fan, advantageously, I think because of the balance of a song between a softer tone and a complexity of what ANBERLIN is known for, and an enticement on that measure, I think it gives this piece a good range for an experience that isn't that easy to forget, and one that I would imagine many people have a repeat entrance to. I think if you did want to be an ANBERLIN fan, but you didn't want to necessarily come on a song, let's say, for example, in tone of like Feel Good Drag or Ready Fuels, all great pieces, or Paper Thin Hymn, something harsher, right? Godspeed. If you tend to gravitate more towards ballads or even pop music, this is a good entrance, I think. I'd be curious to review if there's any agreement on that point alone down in the comment section if you still wish to disclose your perspective. But I like it. It's a good piece. I'd love to hear as well, if you wish to provide an input here, what angle you come from. In terms of your judgment of the piece, are you a longtime ANBERLIN fan, or is this a first entrance for you? How do you feel? Does this track make you want to look at more work from them? Not only from their past library, which if you are a relatively new fan, or just this is the first introduction, I would recommend going back on their past library. They got so many good hits, you will love them. Even tracks perhaps I haven't necessarily listened to yet. I'm working my way around one day to finally gauging with where I should have a long time ago. It makes me want to hear more of the Silverline EP, and again, we'll make our way through it for the remaining two tracks, those being Asking and Circles. Those will be in separate videos. Asking is next. But Body Language is another great addition. I love the evolution of a Silverline EP. Not just in that ANBERLIN is making a comeback. Not at all just on that metric. That's great in itself, but all three pieces thus far have been wonderful to listen to, different in their own faces. Body Language is, in my experience, the most different in comparison to the others. Nothing Lost and Two Graves have a better connection point in some regard, even though Nothing Lost plays around a bit too. Body Language, I like the singular focus here. I like how different it is. It's a fresher energy. It's very original. The pop emphasis, though I'm not necessarily the biggest pop guy in the world, I really liked it. It's a piece I think I want to listen to it again immediately, because I'm just like, I want to hear its energy, the lyrical construction, how easily it, in your mind, touches you, not physically, although there's plenty of physical descriptors to allude to a vision like that paints a wonderful picture. It's a deeply touching piece, and I feel like it really has to sit there and ruminate in your processing of it a bit, maybe on that side. But the piece alone is just, it's a beautiful one to humor and to experience. I really like the energy of it. One of my favorite pieces on the EP thus far. And they've all been great, but this one's sticking in my mind. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.